Hi everybody, Sandy Bacus here. I am back for my 18th video, and today is Friday and it is February 2nd. It's Groundhog Day. Today is my youngest granddaughter's 15th birthday also. So happy birthday to Brianna. I didn't think I was ever going to get this video done today. Usually I do it first thing in the morning, and my computer kept telling me I needed to do these updates, so I thought, well, I'll do that, restart my computer, so I'll have plenty of memory in there. And it took hours. Some kind of big Windows 10 update, I don't know, but it took forever. So it's like lunchtime now instead of being first thing in the morning. But we're gonna go on from here. So I hope everybody's doing okay. The weather has been really crazy here in northern Ohio. Yesterday I think the temperature was over 40. Most of the snow melted. Overnight it dipped down to like 13 degrees. And now today it is just absolutely frigid. A little bit ago when I looked, it was 64 degrees here in my living room. And so I turned on the big electric baseboard heater. It's a hassle because I have to pull my curtains up and prop them up on something so that they don't touch the heater while it's on. But it's on, and I think it's maybe up to about 66 now, so we're getting warm. But it's just crazy weather. So anyways, there was a couple of things that in the last video, or the last two videos, I think I forgot to actually show you. One of them was a major mishap that happened, and I want to show you that. I think I'm going to have to reframe something. But if you'll remember my wolves project that I did, I had showed you I FFO'd that, framed it. And a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting here at my computer desk doing something, and all of a sudden there was this big crash, and the cats all went running for cover. And I thought, what the heck? And I knew it was right next to me here. So I got up and I looked, and here the hook that I had put the wolves, I had it set up on the wall on a, what do you call it, command hooks. It was supposed to be to handle that amount of weight. And then underneath that I had a little shelf, and there was a couple of things on that shelf. So the picture was only maybe 2 inches above the shelf, but it was big. And that command hook, it was still stuck to the wall, but the hook itself had unhooked from the thing that you hooked to the wall, if you can follow that. That adhesive had let loose, maybe because it's so dry in our house, even though we have 3 humidifiers running in different parts of the house at different times. It might have just been that the air is too dry here with all the wood burning and pellet stove burning and stuff. But anyways, that picture fell. And on its way down, it took a little tiny, like a little snow globe type thing that had some butterflies in it that I had gotten at the Cleveland Metropolitan Zoo some years ago. And of course, when that hit the floor, that broke. So there was water from that, the inside of that. And then the picture had fallen. Well, I'm going to show it to you. I have to be very careful because it's, whoops, and then I dropped something else too. It's falling apart, but the frame broke. It came apart a little bit up here. That's not the bad part. The bad part is where it hit the floor. This corner was okay, but this corner over here, it split. And consequently also, and I ghetto framed this, so I'm going to show you, but I'm ashamed to show you the back of this, but it's how I did it. But anyways, it had there's little tabs, and you can kind of see them here that hold it. Well, all the little tabs across the top broke off, and all the little tabs down this side broke off. Now there's still the tabs along the bottom are there and this other side, but it wants to push out because those tabs aren't there. So I think that unless I can come up with a way to get this back together and glue it, which I don't know. I think I'm just going to have to trash this frame and reframe it. But that broke my heart. But at least the glass didn't break, and the cross stitch itself wasn't damaged. Just a minute while I pick up the stuff I dropped. I'm just clumsy, I guess. So the other thing that I had forgotten was in last week's video. And now I've got curtain piled over here, so I have to figure out now where my stuff is buried. I had forgotten to show you, what the heck did I do with it? I've got too much stuff, I guess. I thought I had it here. Oh, there it is, right in front of my face. Man, oh man, I know I'm getting older, but geez. Okay, I had forgotten to show you that I had worked on Scarecrow. I did it for the cross-stitch finish line stitch-a-thon over the weekend. Not last weekend, but the weekend before, and then I neglected to show it to you last week, but I had gotten quite a bit done on that. I did 1,038 stitches, I believe it was, for that stitch-a-thon that weekend, and so I don't really have a whole heck of a lot to go on this one. So if I work on it, I could probably get a finish on that before too long. So that was the two things that I forgot to tell you. Okay, a couple of things I just kind of wanted to talk about today. I want to thank everybody for all the comments on the last video. Everybody was so kind with your comments. I really wasn't expecting that, and after I started reading some of the comments, I thought, oh geez, I hope you guys didn't think I was fishing for compliments or anything, because that definitely was not my intention. But I was just flabbergasted by the kind, wonderful comments, and I really appreciated it. And it kind of gave me that little bit of, yeah, you can keep doing this. You're doing all right. So, nobody seemed to mind that I talk a lot. So I don't have anybody else to talk to most of the time, except for you guys. My husband, I talk to him, but he doesn't listen. You know how it is with guys. They sit there like they're listening, but they're not listening. But anyways, I thought something crossed my mind, and I forget what it was that I heard or something that made me think about music and concerts and stuff like that. And I thought maybe you guys would like to know about some of the groups that I went to see in concert when I was young. And back in 1965 and 1966 was during the time when I saw some concerts. And of course, we had to depend on parents for the money to buy the tickets. And of course, a concert ticket back then was like $12 maybe. And then all the concerts were in Cleveland. And so then we had to depend on parents to get us there and find something for themselves to do while they waited for the concert to be over and then come back and pick us up. And at that time, I saw Sonny and Cher. They were a couple of my real big favorites. Not so much Sonny, but I just loved Cher. I just really did. And getting to see them in concert was one of the highlights of my teen years. And then also, everybody was crazy about the Beatles. Well, I liked the Beatles. I mean, I really did. But I liked the Rolling Stones more. And so I actually got to go and see the Rolling Stones in concert in Cleveland. And there was a group, I think it was a regional group called the McCoys. I don't know if you guys remember them, you older ones remember the McCoys or not, but they sang a song called Hang On Sloopy. And of course the Rolling Stones had so many hits. But I got to go and see them in concert. That's about the only ones that I really saw back then. But then when my kids were, well, my daughter was a teenager. My son was a little younger. He was probably preteen then. And it was probably, I want to say it was either really early 90s or really late 80s. I don't know the exact time. But my daughter was all into the big hair music, the guys with all the makeup and everything. Well, we went to see Motley Crue. And I went with my kids. Although my parents in the 60s dropped us off and went off and did something else, I would have never done that when my kids were young because the world was changing. It wasn't safe anymore like it was in the 60s. And so I went with them. And it really wasn't my kind of music, but because of the fact that everybody was so into it, I kind of got into it too at the concert. And they did that head banging where they head up and down. Well, of course, I had to do it with them. And can you just see me in a concert? And no, nobody sat down. When I went to concerts in the 60s, most people sat down. Everybody was standing up. So of course, I had to stand there with them too. And they did have a room where parents could, go while their kids were inside the concert hall. But I was in there with them. But and I've seen, I have gone to a few other concerts later in adulthood. I saw Eddie Rabbitt, kind of a country singer. And then oh shoot, I went somewhere else and saw somebody, but it's not coming to me right now. My daughter went with me to that one to keep me company, but it's not, I can't remember right this minute. So if I remember it sometime in the future, I'll tell you about it. So anyways, there's that. And then we had a couple of anniversaries this week of some events that happened way back. And it made me start thinking about where I was when these different things happened. And so I wanted to tell you about a couple that came to my mind. If you're young, some of these you won't even remember. You'll only have heard about in your history. Some of these, at least one of these was a regional type thing for this part of the country. And if you're outside of the U.S., maybe this will be a way for you to know how people in the U.S. felt when these things happened. I've got 4 of them. And the first one was November 22nd, 1963. And that was when President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And I remember I was a freshman in high school. I was sitting in algebra class, and they made an announcement over the loudspeaker that President Kennedy had been shot. And they herded us all into, like 3 classes all into one class, because back then it wasn't, you didn't have a TV in every classroom, and you didn't have cable TV. It was all either rabbit ears or antenna. So brought a TV, and they turned it on, and we were able to watch a little bit of what was happening. They then called all the buses. We were all sent home from school. We didn't have school for days. So we were able to watch all of the things that were going on, the burial parade, all of the funeral, all of that kind of stuff. We saw that on TV. So that was November 22nd, 1963. A lot of crying. And then, this is a regional type thing. This happened in the northeastern part of the country. And of course, I was here in Ohio at that time. And this was on January 26th, 1978. And the big word for it was the blizzard of 78. And I was in my late 20s at that time. I was divorced with a 3-year-old daughter. And this storm came in on overnight on a Wednesday, and I used to bowl on Wednesday nights, and we didn't start until 9 p.m. So by the time we left the bowling alley and headed home, it was usually close to midnight. And my daughter used to stay overnight with her regular daytime babysitter so that I didn't have to worry about having her out really late at night. And I remember driving home that night. It had to have been 50 degrees at least. I remember I had the window rolled down part way driving home, and they kept talking about this blizzard coming, but I thought, you know, they've got to be crazy. It's practically warm outside. And I went home and went to sleep and woke up in the middle of the night to this horrible, horrible wind and noise, and got up. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and went to look out the window and couldn't even see out the window because the entire window was solid snow. And I lived in a townhouse, so I was on the second story for the bedroom. And I got up and I went downstairs, and I could barely see out any windows. But what I could see out, it was unbelievable. And I went back to bed. Took me a while to fall asleep because of all the wind and the noise. But when I got up in the morning, there was nobody going anywhere. I mean, cars were just totally buried under drifts of snow. My one friend that I worked with, she lived in the apartment. We worked for a management company, and she lived in the apartment that was right there at where our office was. And she got out of her place and went over there, and she said she couldn't even, she said there was like 3 feet of snow in front of the door of the office, so she couldn't even get in there. And everything was just dead. I mean, you weren't going anywhere. And when I finally did get to work, they actually came and got me because I couldn't get out of my apartment complex. And they came with a truck and picked me up and took me to work because I did payroll and they wanted to be paid. So they did that. And I think the babysitter's husband finally brought my daughter home because I couldn't get there to get her. But it was bad. And here in Ohio, well, there was overall from the storm, there were 70 people died. And 51 of those people were in Ohio. So Ohio, I think, was the hardest hit by that storm. But it was a long time before anything got back to normal. And if you can Google it, and you can see what it was like. The next one was January 28th, 1986. And that was the date that the Challenger space shuttle exploded. And this was the first space shuttle that had taken a teacher up in space, and she was going to teach a lesson from space. And so just about every school child was sitting in class watching the Challenger launch and watched it explode. Sorry. I didn't know that this had happened. My son was in kindergarten at that time. He was my youngest. And he came in from the bus. He went morning kindergarten, so it was about lunchtime. And I was at the sink doing dishes, and he came running in the house and said, "Mommy, Mommy, the Challenger, the space shuttle exploded." And I said, "Mike, you shouldn't say such things. That's, never say anything like that." And he said, "No, Mommy, really, turn the TV on." So we went and turned the TV on and saw that. That sticks with you. And the last, September 11th, 2001, 9/11. When the planes hit the World Trade Center and sent it down. I was working. One of my friends got a call from her husband, and he told her that a plane had run into the World Trade Center. Well, at that time, we didn't know it was terrorism. We thought it was a horrible accident. And we had a television in the conference room, so we went in and turned it on. And we would go back and forth between our desks and going in and watching a little bit. And I was actually in there watching when the second plane hit the second tower. And I was just like, did I just see what I saw? Could that have really happened? And then they kept replaying it. Devastating for this country and for all those people and all their families. But those are the things that happen that we never, ever forget where we were and what we were doing. Now, I'm going to move on because I'm making this video really long, and I didn't really mean to do that, but sometimes I get carried away. So anyways, if you remember, I had told you that my son gave me a $50 Amazon gift card, and I finally got on Amazon and I bought some stuff. So I wanted to share those with you. So first of all, I got just this little magnetic needle case. I was storing my needles in their original packaging and just trying to slip them back in there. And I thought, you know what? I need a case to put all my, separate each size and keep them in there. So I got that. And then I got a couple of kits. And this one had caught my eye before. And I thought it was so pretty, and I'm going to try to hold it so you don't get the glare, but it's the dimensions. And this is it's called Glory of Autumn. And I just had seen that before and thought, oh, I'd really like that. So I went ahead and got that. And then this next one, I don't know what I was thinking. It's beautiful, but it's big. And there it is. And it's a street in Paris. I don't know what's the actual, yeah, Paris Market. I love all those colors and all those flowers and the buildings, and I just love everything about it. And it was expensive, and I would never would have spent the money for it myself, but it was a gift. So I got it. Okay, I also have one FFO, just a tiny little one. But remember my little bear? I put it just in a hoop. I think I told you that's what I was going to do. This is a gift. So, and I didn't do anything fancy. I mean, it's just, I put some glue around the inner hoop and stuck it on there, and there it is. Okay, now, I only have one whip. And that's because that's all I worked on. I stitched a lot. And I was gonna show you what this looked like before on a picture on my phone, but I think my phone's over there somewhere, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just say it. And I didn't want to take this off of my Q-snap. I just loosened this up and put it away and come back to it. And my needle minder's in the way, but anyways, I'm going to try to show you here. This line, like right here, going up, that was the mark for page 1. And I didn't have all this in down here, but I had some stuff in here. I had a lot of threads hanging from here. Well, what I did was I went in and I started on page 2 because I used this last weekend for the cross stitch finish line stitch-a-thon, and so I did all of this top part on page 2, and not during the weekend, but all in the time that I've been stitching on it. And then I went back in and I filled in some more over here and got rid of a lot of those hanging threads. So that's one that I worked on. I worked on it the whole week, and I started thinking about it. There are 25 pages to this Shades of Summer. It's an artsy design. And if I'm going to get that done in my lifetime, I'm going to have to do more than what I've been doing, because I figured it up. I had a little piece of paper here somewhere, and now I don't know what oh, here it is. I figured it up. Well, I guess there's 24 pages, not 25. If I want to finish that in 4 years, I'm going to have to do 6 pages a year. And considering that I started that in September and didn't even finish 1 page in 2017, I've got my work cut out for me. So I'm going to try to put together a plan of bringing that out to stitch on it more often. And when I do bring it out, I'm going to stitch on it for a longer period of time. I've decided I need to do that with my larger projects if I'm ever going to see them get finished, because I am not going to live forever as much as I would like to. That's not possible. So things like that, Japanese garden, and some of my other kits that I haven't started yet, I'm just going to have to put in longer periods of time. So I had been doing 3 to 5 days per project, but now I think I'm going to work 3 days on my smaller items and then try to put in at least 6 to 7 days on these larger ones when I get them out. So it may mean that some of my videos may be a bit boring. I'll have to work on that. Okay, and so that was my whip. I wasn't going to start anything. Well, I was going to have a new start, but I wasn't going to start it yet until after the video. But when I couldn't, I was waiting for this computer to get finished, I went ahead and started something. And it shows, I'm covering up the chart here. It shows it on a sweatshirt there, those little kitty cats. So I went ahead and I started that this morning. And wait a minute, it's behind me here. And it's got a needle stuck in it, so it's not a lot, it's just a little bit. So, but it's a start. Okay, my nose is starting to run here, so guess it's the cold. All right, okay, last time I asked about that floss, and thank you to all the people who helped me or tried to help me about that. And this is what I wanted it for. Let's see if I can get to the picture. Here it is. It was this chart. And I found out the floss is variegated, and I'd never gotten variegated floss before except for what I'm using for my Quaker Diamonds. So that was why I didn't understand about those numbers. But a couple of those are no longer available. And so what I did was I went to my local craft store, Pat Catan's, and I can't remember now which ones were available and which ones weren't, but anyways, there were 2 that I could get at the craft store and 2 that were unavailable. So what I did was I picked out colors that were close to what those were supposed to be. So I ended up that this is what I'm going to have. There's one that was a non-variegated, which I already had. So what I did was I picked out this fabric, and this is, I had this upstairs in my stash that somebody had given me this, and this is 18 count Fiddler's Light. So I'm going to use that, and these are the flosses, and I'm going to try to hold them up here. Talk about being klutzy. See if I can get them. Here, of course, is the non-variegated one. So we've got a yellowy, a reddish, pinky, a green, shades of green, and then the blue. And I hope that you can see those. But those are the ones that will do this little sampler alphabet. And so I'm going to be starting that here sometime soon. So thank you so much to everybody who tried to help me out with that. Put this over here now. Okay, let's see. We did the purchases. We did the FFO. We did the WIP. Okay, the winners. All right. Every chart that I showed last week is going out to somebody, and I use a random number generator for anything that is requested by more than one person. And I'm just going to really quickly hold these up and say who's getting them. And if you didn't get something you wanted this time, I hope you will another time. If I haven't previously sent you something, my email address will be in the description box below. Please send me an email and give me your mailing address, and then I'll get these out. Okay, this one here, the sun and the moon, or Here Comes the Sun and Full Moon Rising, is going to go to Betty Hankins. So there was 2 charts there. And if I don't hear from anybody in a couple of days, then I will, of course, try to get a hold of you. And the Village Tea Shop, which had both the pastels and the brights, goes to Donna Barker. Donna Barker. And the Victorian Sampler is going to Karen Austin. And the Gallery Collection is going to Verpy R. And the Bridal Store is going to Susan Oberfell. So congratulations to everybody on those. And I've got some more to show you here. Just let me get over here. My curtain is sitting on them, so hold on a second. Okay, I have 5 more to show you. All right, this first one, I don't have a picture of it. It's just the chart. So I'm just going to hold it up here, and it's out of a magazine. So it's called Eat Your Veggies, and it has, of course, the saying in the middle, and then the different veggies. 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom. So if you're interested in stitching that one, then just say you want to stitch the veggies. This one is a birth sampler, and it's cute. It's called Welcome Aboard. So if you're interested in stitching that one, then just say you want to stitch the birth birth announcement or something about birth. I'll know what you're talking about. The next one is a really pretty flower. It's a zinnia. So if you're interested in that one, I want to stitch the zinnia. The next one is a stocking. Well, this is kind of thick, so let me see if there's more than one thing here. It could just be that the chart is on multiple pages, which yeah, it's let's see, there's a bottom. You know what? I think there's 2 stockings here. Could be. Wait a minute. Yeah, there's 2 stockings here. So, and they're back to back. So I'll just show you both of them. There's the one. You can see that one. And here's the other one. I hope you can see it. So if you're interested in those stockings, just say you want to stitch the stockings. And this one here, this is so cute. Let me make sure. This, I think this one is another one of those ones where you stitch, yeah, it says something about plastic canvas and Aida cloth. I think it's a 2-piece deal to make it look multi-dimensional, 3D. So there's that. What it does is it's got the, I think the plastic canvas part is the white, where it's going to be, it gives you all the directions. But I'm just going to show you this quickly. It shows stitching this like this. That's the flowers and the border. And then stitching the cat here. So this is, some of these say what level of stitching this is. I don't know if this one does or not. It is cute though. No, it doesn't, but if you're interested in that, then tell me that you'd like to stitch the cat. All right, we're at almost 40 minutes. Boy, did I talk a lot. I'm going to have to try to curb that down a little bit. I just get carried away. But anyways, I think that that's everything. I'm not going to take time to show you any of my, continue on my magazine stash. We'll do that another time when I don't talk so much. So I just want to say thanks for coming and visiting with me for a little bit. I will be back next week with the winners of these charts and some more charts to give away, and show you what I worked on from today till next Friday. So I will see you then. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.